Hello and welcome to Valley News Now. Duke Schindler here with you as we dive into investigative TV here this Tuesday afternoon, because countless phones receiving the same text, but a detective suddenly realized things seemed off. So we've taken an in-depth look at the digital detective work that tracked down the source of this cybercrime and provides solutions you can avoid to getting scammed.
Today on Investigate TV Plus, a cyber sleuth.
Kind of like a mystery novel, so I said, yeah, follow it and see where it ends up.
One detective trusted his instincts and turned a hunch about a random text into a full-blown investigation.
We needed to get it shut down as soon as possible.
We go in depth as he traces the source of a cybercrime and show how his work paved the way for other officers to stop scammers in their tracks. Plus, a voice of hope.
What was pain and misunderstanding and just not knowing turned into purpose.
A woman took the darkest moment of her mental health struggle and transformed it into a guiding light. We explore how her personal pain led to a realization and provide you with the critical resources to help someone in crisis.
I got out of it, and so can you.
And the circle of life.
It serves as a visual reminder, that we're not alone. There's still something that we can do.
From water to table and back, we dive into a program rebuilding the coastline, one shell at a time. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
It may look like the real deal. An urgent text warns there's an issue with your account and insists you verify your information immediately. Your mind may start to race. Are you at risk? Before you take action or click any link, you should stop and take a deep breath. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. That message may actually be a smishing scam, a con designed to get your personal information and take your money. The word smishing is a mashup of SMS for short message service and phishing. Smishing attacks come in various forms, including delivery, government, and bank scams.
In Arizona, a woman took the scammer's bait when she received what she thought was a text from her bank. It's a familiar sound followed by a request from an unfamiliar number.
It said, Wells Fargo alerts, did you authorize a $4,427.10 wire/quick pay to Alice Rear? Reply yes or no, or text stop to opt out.
Kelsey Harrod responded no. Little did she know that's all it took for her to end up on a scammer's hook.
Within a half a second, I get a call.
Kelsey was lured in by a smishing scam. Smishing usually starts with a text containing a strange-looking link from what appears to be a trusted source, like a bank. The goal of the scam is to trick people into sharing sensitive information such as passwords or credit card numbers. Kelsey transferred almost $2,000 out of her bank account and right into the scammer's hands.
I made all the moves, but he coached me through it and made me feel like he was a legitimate agent.
In Kelsey's case, her money was gone and the bank closed their investigation.
But a digital detective in Louisiana untangled the World Wide Web to find the source of a text behind a toll scam.
Investigative reporter Meg Gatto takes an in-depth look at the unprecedented steps that got a fraudulent website shut down.
Thousands of phones across Louisiana pinged with the same incoming text.
Basically, it said that you had driven on a Louisiana toll road and had to go to this website to pay a $3.75 fee for driving on the roadway.
Brad Rickey received one.
If you did not pay that fee, you'd be fined $30.
Some of his friends and colleagues received them too. Rickey says he followed the text instructions and logged onto the website gopass.info. Rickey says what popped up looked like a real site.
This is the legitimate Louisiana DOTD GoPass logo with the font, the styling, the coloring.
The website asked for credit card information to pay a $3.75 toll. But Rickey, a Kenner police detective, realized something didn't seem right.
Really, the only thing that worked on this website were the portions that collected your personal information, name, date of birth, email address, phone number.
Instead of putting in his information, Ricky, who's investigated cybercrimes for years, paused.
And once I determined that it was most probably fake, I contacted Louisiana DOTD and spoke with members there, and they wound up confirming that it was indeed fake.
He turned to his boss, Chief Keith Conley.
Kind of like a mystery novel, so I said, yeah, follow it and see where it ends up.
In the past, when Kenner police would uncover a scam like this, Ricky says the department would put out an alert to residents to be vigilant with their phones and finances. But beyond that, the police department was limited in what it could do. Ricky was determined not to stop there.
We needed to get it shut down as soon as possible.
So he reached out to the Department of Homeland Security Investigations.
We are a federal law enforcement agency, and we conduct federal criminal investigations on a global scale.
Special Agent Jessica Zappardo says the text Ricky received is a clear example of a smishing scam.
It is a cyber attack that uses a fake text message to trick people into sharing sensitive information.
She believes it targeted people all over the state and in other parts of the country.
I work with a lot of people who have out-of-state area codes, and they are also receiving very similar text messages, but related to the state where their area code is from.
Federal investigators were able to determine the website came from a server in Russia. Tracking down the people responsible, not an easy task.
Because what can you do? You know, the Kenner Police Department can't go to Russia and arrest anyone.
Homeland Security investigators worked with Ricky to devise a plan, something the feds have done in the past, but never before in Kenner.
I submitted a search warrant to a judge here in Jefferson Parish. She reviewed it and signed it, which allowed us to seize the website.
Now, seizing a website, that's pretty unprecedented.
That's correct. I know of no other local agencies who have done this before.
What is the purpose of seizing a website?
Well, you want to get it shut down so it's not actively scamming anyone. So this is the current screen that pops up that has been seized.
It took me a while to comprehend what he was talking about. Then when he said that all that traffic was redirected to us to show this banner that it was a fraud, then it kind of sunk in, and I thought that was pretty neat.
According to the chief, so did the Jefferson Parish judge who signed the warrant.
The judge called him and commended him because they had never seen anything like this before either. The work he did actually saved citizens money and the anxiety and going through the steps of having to redo your identity, basically, if your identity gets stolen.
Cybersecurity expert Nam Nguyen has heard of these types of smishing scams before.
It's actually pretty prevalent.
But what he hasn't seen, what Kenner PD did.
I was actually pretty impressed that they found the right organization to report it to and to collaborate with to take it down. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Laying the footprint for how other local law enforcement agencies can tackle this type of crime.
A lot of our surrounding municipalities and sheriff's offices reached out to us to get some further information, which we gladly shared.
It may be baby steps in this new frontier of combating cyber crimes, but Chief Conley says
now it's like a game of whack-a-mole, but who knows? Eventually, maybe it'll lead to other, bigger seizures of other servers.
If you received a text message claiming you owe a toll and gave your credit card information, investigators say you should closely monitor your personal information and reach out to local law enforcement to file a report. You can also report fraud online to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. In New Orleans, I'm Meg Gatto.
Still ahead, a pearl of a program.
Instead of sending them to a landfill, put them back in the water.
Many consider oysters a slightly salty seafood delicacy, but there's much more to this mollusk. We show you how shucked shells are restoring and protecting the Louisiana coast.
But first, from caller to counselor.
Sometimes just talking to somebody who is outside of the situation, outside of the circle, can just provide a different perspective.
We share a survivor's journey on the 988 Lifeline.
Three numbers have connected millions of people in crisis to more than 200 local and state-funded call centers across the country.
Since it first launched in July 2022, 988 has received nearly 11 million calls, texts, and chats. And despite the increased demand for services, mental health experts say the majority of those calls are answered in under a minute.
The average speed to answer year over year was about 3 minutes in 2021. It's now 44 seconds in December of 2022.
Dr. John Palmieri is the Deputy Director of 988. He believes the Lifeline has helped reduce stigma and encourage more people to seek help.
There's been tremendous national dialogue, conversation, discussion about 988, about suicidal crises, mental health crises.
Once again, those in crisis can either call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Reporter Ann Emmerich shares the story of a woman who answers those calls and the personal journey that fuels her mission to save lives.
Liz Baker's livelihood is all about preventing death. She's a trained crisis counselor who offers emotional support to people thinking about ending their life.
Crisis Line. It's honestly one of my favorite things, to have those kind of enlightening moments with callers, to say, you know, what feels like the end of the world right now actually isn't, that there's still so much life to live, but to hear it click in their voice.
A small reward for a big job, answering calls on the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Calls from people in a very dark place, a place Baker knows all too well.
And what was pain and misunderstanding and just not knowing turned into purpose.
Purpose born out of trauma. One of Baker's best friends died by suicide when she was just 17. Desmond sent her an ominous text, and she and her mother drove straight to his house, where they heard the gunshot.
And we beat the first responders there that night. I definitely will never forget that. I will never forget my mom essentially having to tackle me to the ground so that I didn't go and see what kind of shape he was in.
A loss that left Baker searching for answers.
What could I have done? And I should have done this and that, coulda, shoulda, woulda, ate me alive after he passed away.
Those unanswered questions pushed Baker into action. A month after Desmond's death, she attended the Out of the Darkness Walk at Lansing's Sharp Park, organized by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
I started losing it in the middle of the crowd, and I felt a hand on my back, and when I turned around, it was my kindergarten teacher. And to see somebody who was such a prominent figure in our community, knowing that she was touched by suicide, I was just like, whoa.
An aha moment that has powered Baker's mission for a decade. She's now chaired that same walk and is serving as the organization's chapter secretary. But 3 years into her advocacy, Baker found herself having her own suicidal thoughts.
I felt like a fraud to be there and, you know, preach, take care of yourself and do this and that, and here's, you know, all of the mental wellness things that you can do, and I couldn't bring myself to use those tools that I had.
It was in that moment she picked up the phone and called the same lifeline she now answers.
Sometimes just talking to somebody who is outside of the situation, outside of the circle, can just provide a different perspective. And that it did. It helped me see that because I thought I was protecting my family from my feelings of suicidality, that I would be, you know, better off with, or they would be better off without me, and those types of things. It helped me see that that's actually the exact opposite, you know, and how much pain that would bring them.
Pain that led to hospitalization and a realization she could use her experience to help others.
There's something so cathartic about taking my experience, my lived experience and my own mental health struggles to show somebody that, look, I wore the shoes that you're wearing. And I was able to get through it. I got out of it, and so can you. And there's just something so powerful about that.
Her power painted on her arms. Power from pain, pain with purpose, purpose that honors Desmond.
He would be proud to know that his story launched something that helped thousands, countless of other people. I carry him with me every single day. And he really was the big why in why I started doing things.
A study by the National Institutes of Health found that after talking to a Lifeline counselor, people often feel less depressed and more hopeful about their situation. Once again, if you or someone you know is in crisis, call 988. It is confidential and available 24/7. In Lansing, Michigan, I'm Ann Emmerich.
After initial startup funds from the federal government, states are now largely responsible for long-term funding of local 988 call centers. To help keep up with the rising demand for the service, 10 states have enacted legislation to fund crisis services through telecom fees.
Just ahead, a passion to educate becomes a mission for inclusion.
It's just really fun to see how great they're just included.
We show you how a unique school helps young children with Down syndrome thrive in the classroom.
But first, turning trash into a coastal treasure. How thousands of pounds of discarded oyster shells help restore and rebuild delicate coastlines.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms.
You can eat oysters on the half shell, roast them over a fire, or even fry them for a po' boy. But once they're shucked and you're done eating them, conservationists urge you not to chuck those shells.
Yeah, instead of a trash heap, thousands of pounds of discarded shells from restaurants across Louisiana have found their way back to the water. Reporter John Snell shows us how they're bringing new life and protection to Grand Bayou in Plaquemines Parish.
On this day, the small village is bustling with activity. Volunteers from the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana are deploying bags of recycled oysters, collected from area restaurants. After a quick boat ride, they're placed in a couple locations along the banks of the bayou, a natural form of shoreline protection.
Instead of sending them to the landfill, put them back in the water.
It serves as a visual reminder, that we're not alone. There's still something that we can do.
You really got into this.
Yeah, no, I enjoy this, man. Any excuse to get out of the house and go, do something useful out in nature is great, man.
That involves hoisting the 30-pound bags and stacking them strategically along the shore. On this windy day, it instantly reduces the wave action.
They're heavier than they look, by the way.
Yeah, no, they have some weight to them, yeah.
So there's some substance.
They're definitely, they got to hold them down to the base there.
Nick DeWaskin does some volunteer work, but this was his first time on a coastal project.
The amount of wetlands lost really is just staggering. And, that's within my lifetime, it's just completely changed.
This is just a few miles up the road.
Al DeVerne has been volunteering with the Coalition for about 15 years.
I have to feel like I'm making a difference in something. I used to hunt and fish around here with my dad 60 years ago, and it was a very, very different looking place.
Al gives the new volunteers a primer on man's influence over this place.
But what you do see is these straight canals that were referenced before. This is man-made canals.
Canals that sliced and diced the marsh allowed for saltwater intrusion, and what's often overlooked, the disruption of the natural tidal flow. All in a delta disconnected from the river, locked in place by levees. A delta rapidly eroding and sinking.
30 years later, it has almost all disappeared.
You could ultimately accomplish a similar level of protection with rocks, but there's one big difference to this method. Ultimately, it'll be alive.
They will immediately start naturally recruiting oyster growth.
As baby oysters attach to the shells, a whole ecosystem forms, a living oyster reef with fish and birds feeding off it. The Coalition says that process has unfolded in every spot where they've installed the recycled shells.
The oyster shell is the keystone organism of that reef, and it attracts a huge amount of diversity and abundance of species.
According to NOAA, studies conducted in the Gulf have shown that oyster reefs may reduce wave energy by as much as 99%.
Plus, oyster reefs provide a habitat and nursery ground for crabs, shrimp, and fish such as flounder and striped bass, thus helping support the livelihoods of fishermen and oyster farmers. Well, I'm happy to know that I've helped and contributed in some way by eating the oysters and allowing the shells to help the coastline.
My family, my daughters will knock out a dozen raw oysters wherever they are too. And that was a workout for them out there. Those were heavy.
30-pound
I know,
bags.
really heavy.
Yeah.
Good stuff though.
Well, up next, an inclusive and fun way to learn.
He loves going to the playground. He loves slides. He loves playing in the water.
How a one-of-its-kind school embraces the challenges of teaching children with Down syndrome. For children with Down syndrome, the education experts we spoke with say learning a new skill can take time and patience.
In Omaha, a nonprofit works with parents to make sure their kids get the extra attention they need. Reporter Erin Hartley shows us how the school inspires joy.
2, are you 2? 1, 2. Jude's 2.
2-year-old Jude is learning every single day.
He loves going to the playground. He loves slides. He loves playing in the water.
For Jude and his peers, their education is a bit more hands-on. Founder Kim Yeager launched Little Leaf Learning Center in 2011, a nonprofit specifically designed for children with Down syndrome.
We are able to just see the children more. They have to come for at least 4 hours a week. We're working on physical, gross and fine motor, speech, oral motor development.
Kim has made the nonprofit focus on early education with individual and tailored instruction to fit each child's specific needs.
One of the biggest challenges I think that most parents face is that their children walk much later.
Mom Ashley says she's learning new ways to help Jude's learning through resources and information shared by Little Leaf.
I have not seen something like this in any other location, it seems like, in the United States. So the fact that Omaha has this is really pretty special.
According to the National Down Syndrome Society, starting education early for children with Down syndrome can greatly impact their lives.
And so when we're working and helping them build the proper pathways and really firing their brains and getting all that early knowledge in early, they just have a foundation to build on.
For Kim, working with kids with Down syndrome is more than just a passion, it's a mission.
Most of them just have happy lives and are successful and doing well in school, and it's just really fun to see how great they're, just included.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Thanks for watching.
All right, that'll do for this week's episode of Investigate TV here on Valley News Now. Now, we're going to keep up this type of special programming throughout our social channels through this week as we get as much as we can to you, the viewer. Now, tomorrow, we're going to have Ask the First Alert Weather Team, so make sure you get in those questions when we post it. And then Thursday, we're going to have Watching Your Wallet as well as The Good Side. Then Friday, our Sports Overtime, where we got a lengthy interview coming with head coach Eric Schmidt after that fantastic game against Kansas State that make anyone's hair stand up. So stay tuned, but for Valley News Now, I'm Duke Schindler.